Hey guys, King of Charmanders here, and today I bring to you a special video on the #1 ranked weapons, armor, and monsters in Monster Hunter Now. The 1-year anniversary official data. So this video analyzes the recently released statistics for Monster Hunter Now. And this data was collected between the release in September 2023 to the end of July 2024. The rankings review the top 5 of each category, and these categories include weapons, armor, monsters, and more. First off, we're going to start off with the top 5 hunters' weapons of choice overall ranks. So at rank 5, we have the Blooming Arc / Datura String, which is the Puke Puke Bow. At rank 4, we have the First Dance / Last Dance, which is the Kulu-Ya-Ku Longsword. At rank 3, we have the Galebender / Sarah Coilbender, which is the Black Diablos Bow. At rank 2, we have the Blooming Knife / Datura Blossom, which is the Puke Puke Sword and Shield. And at number 1, the #1 choice for the hunter's weapon of choice is the Jagras Edge / Jagras Garrote, which is the Great Jagras Sword and Shield. And here's my overall analysis of the top 5 hunters' weapon of choice. Honestly, the Great Jagras Sword and Shield isn't surprising because every hunter needs to use it for the story. So the Great Jagras Sword and Shield is also cheap to build, and again, every hunter needs to use it at one point. In order for you to progress through the tutorial, you actually need to build it and then start using it, and it definitely has some use. While the Puke Puke Bow and Sword and Shield are the best budget weapons in the game and can get you far into the endgame. I personally use the Blooming Knife to take myself pretty far, up until I actually started using number 3, which is the Galebender / Sarah Coilbender, which is the Black Diablos Bow. However, one little surprise for me here is the Kulu-Ya-Ku Longsword. Not really, considering I've seen it talked about a lot. However, it is a surprise that is ranked above the Puke Bow, because the Puke Bow is the best overall as far as getting you far in the endgame weapon, but the Kulu-Ya-Ku Longsword does have affinity to it, so Longsword users probably used it as their raw option for a very long time. And again, like I mentioned, we had the Sarah Coilbender, and it is the best raw weapon in the entire game. It's shocking that it's still 3 despite how hard it is to build. It is very difficult to build the Black Diablos Bow. You have to kill a subspecies monster, etc. But despite the fact that even though it's the hardest weapon to obtain out of all these weapons, it is still number 3 in the hunter's weapons of choice. Taking out the longsword, which is #1 budget option, and the bow's #1 option, which is pretty insane. Moving on, we move on to the Veteran's Choice of Skill, which is the top 5 Hunter Rank 100 plus weapons of choice overall ranks. Well, 200's kind of more like the Veteran one nowadays, but if you're close to it, it's still pretty up there. At rank 5, you have the Glacial Shotel / Stealer, which is the Legiana Longsword. At rank 4, we have the Great Jagras Edge, the Jagras Garrote, which is the Great Jagras' Sword and Shield. At rank 3, you have the Flame Blitz / Wrathbuster, which is the Rathalos Light Bowgun. At rank 2, we have the Blooming Arc / Datura String, which is the Puke Puke Bow. And of course, at rank 1, the Goat of Goats, the most powerful raw weapon in the game currently and probably for the near future and the foreseeable future as well. The Galebender / Sarah Coilbender, which is the Black Diablos Bow. And now I would like to take this opportunity to apologize to absolutely nobody. The bow and gun lance is bad, deal with it, the negative stigma is deserved. The best hunters in the game, supported by data, use the Black Diablos Bow regularly, so it rightfully takes #1. That's if you're willing to put in the hard work and effort to build it and max it out. If you haven't figured it out yet, the reason why bow and gun lance has such a negative stigma, it's easy, it's newbie, and it's point and shoot, and a lot of people are breaking the wrong parts with it or just lazily battling in group hunts. If you use the Black Diablos Bow, you will be respected because everyone knows, or at least most veteran hunters know, that it is the most powerful weapon, and that 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to stay in a lobby if you see a Black Diablos Bow because it's that good. And per this data, it is the GOAT. In addition, the Puke Bow is the best budget weapon for a long time, and the Rathalos Light Bowgun is one of the best elemental light bowguns in the game. Early on, you really didn't have much of a choice, so second and third, not a surprise here. But what is a shocker is the Jagras Sword and Shield. It's easy to build, so it makes sense to be used against water-weak monsters, but yeah, HR plus 100, wow, I was not expecting that at all. And the Legiana Longsword is the best budget longsword, and there are many monsters weak to ice. So as far as the ice element goes, Legiana is pretty much the only one there if you want a budget option. But there are a lot of monsters weak to ice. I've also seen it a lot used in Zinogre, etc. So not a surprise that Legiana Longsword is at number 5. On to the next category, and we have the top 5 Hunters Armor of Choice overall ranks. At rank 5, you have the Rathalos Coil, which provides you with Focus level 1 and Fire Attack level 1. At rank 4, you have the Kulu Headpiece, which gives you Lock-On level 1 as well as Critical Eye level 1. At rank 3, you have the Kulu Greaves, which gives you Critical Eye level 2. At rank 2, you have the Jura Greaves, which gives you Focus level 2 and Last Stand level 1. And the GOAT Armor of Choice of the overall ranks is the Rathian Vambraces, which gives you Burst level 2 and Lock-On level 1. And now here's the overall analysis for the top 5 Hunters Armor of Choice. The Rathian Vambraces are one of the best pieces of melee gear in the game. That's why it's number 1. You got Lock-On with Burst 2, it's amazing, and again, being number 1, it's not a surprise at all. Jura Greaves are vital for bow builds and melee weapons that can use focus. So you could use these for the Greatsword, you could use these for the Hammer, especially for bow builds. Yeah, Jura Greaves are good. Second place, not a surprise. And the Kulu Yaku Greaves are great for melee/crit builds, and the Kulu Headpiece is melee users' first lock-on piece and will likely be used for a long time until they build the Rathian Vambraces or the Coral Puke Puke Helm. So again, the pieces I just mentioned, great for specific things, but not a surprise there for the 2, 3, and 4 choice. As far as rank 5 goes, the Rathalos Coil is vital for bow builds/fire elemental bow builds. It's the GOAT for the longest time and the GOAT piece for bow mains like myself for the longest time. So not a surprise there. Speaking of GOATs, we move on to the Veteran Hunters Armor of Choice. This is the top 5 100 plus HR Armor of Choice overall ranks. At rank 5, we have the Rat Soul Helm, which provides you with Focus level 2. At rank 4, we have the Rathalos Coil, which provides you with Focus level 1 and Fire Attack level 1. At rank 3, we have the Rathalos Coil, which gives you Weakness Exploit level 2. At rank 2, we have the Rathian Vambraces, which give you Burst level 2 and Lock-On level 1. And the GOATs of the 100 plus Hunter rank Armor of Choice is the Jura Greaves at rank 1, which gives you Focus level 2 and Last Stand level 1. And this brings us to the top 5 Hunter rank 100 plus Armor of Choice overall analysis. The Jura Greaves have been the GOAT of focus builds and bow mains for a very, very long time. This is still the very first piece, if you're a beginner, that you will get the Grade 6 just for focus 2. So seriously, not a surprise that it is the GOAT at number 1. And of course, the Rathian Vambraces are a melee user's best friend, and everyone using a Black Diablos bow build. I forgot to mention for the last slide that it is the best piece for the Black Diablos bow builds because Burst level 2 is amazing for raw builds. And Rat Soul Helm taking number 5 is crazy, considering it debuted in January 2024 and is the only subspecies piece of gear on this list. Considering it's that difficult to get, and even though we've had numerous of those, the happy hunting events to where it's came out all the time, do you see the longevity of the rest of these pieces? I can't believe it actually caught up to like the Hunter's Armor of Choice that fast in only 9 months. In addition, these results show that past Hunter rank 100 plus, bow users dominate the most used weapon in the game, as the primary Focus 5 build prior to Season 3 was the Rat Soul Helm at 5th, Rathalos Coil at 4th, and the Jura Greaves at 1st. This shows that despite the painful rise of Bone Gunlance users and the Charged Gunlance style taking over your hunts and you probably backing out like me for a majority of them, that the bow, for the majority of veteran hunters and the most powerful hunters in the world, the bow is the strongest weapon type with the strongest builds in the entire game. But if you aren't convinced, well, here's even more data supporting my claims: the top 5 most upgraded to grade 10 ranks. Starting at rank 5, we have the Usurper's Crime / Usurper's Crime Plus, and at grade 10, the Despot's Wildfire, the Zinogre Light Bowgun. At rank 4, you have the Flame Blitz / Wrathbuster, which is the Rathalos Light Bowgun. At rank 3, you have the Blooming Arc / the Tourist String, which is the Puke Bow. At rank 2, you have the Usurper's Bolt Slicer / Usurper's Bolt Slicer Plus. And at grade 10, the Despot's Bolt Breaker with the Zinogre Longsword. And at rank 1, the Goat of Goats, the most powerful raw weapon again, once again proves to you that is amazing. The Galebender / Sarah Coilbender, the Black Diablos Bow. And this brings us to the grade 10 analysis for the top 5 most upgraded to grade 10. As usual, Lord Black Diablos Bow reigns supreme, hard work and effort pays off. One of the hardest weapons to build, but is the most powerful current raw weapon in the game, and it's pretty obvious that all the veterans know that it is amazing and they have it, or are already building towards it. In addition, the Zinogre Longsword isn't a surprise at all for how cool it is, and is also the strongest Thunder Lightsword until Rajang released. It's also nuts that Zinogre Longsword is 2nd, and Zinogre Light Bowgun is 5th, as Zinogre didn't release until the December major update. Zinogre has also only appeared on the field in only 2 instances, in April and August 2024. It's come way later than 1, 3, and 4. So again, Zinogre in this capacity is just nuts. So it just shows that Zinogre is incredibly powerful, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon just because Rajang is here. Puke Bow is the best budget bow in the game, and the Rathalos Light Bowgun was the most popular light bowgun for a long time. You saw these everywhere in the beginning stages of the game, and the Blooming Arc is still the best budget weapon to go after if you're trying to get to endgame. So, probably going to see more Blooming Arcs being upgraded to grade 10 still in the future. And to cap this off, and just to show you how dominant ranged is, 4 out of 5 of the most upgraded to grade 10 weapons are ranged. This shows the dominance of the ranged meta in Monster Hunter now. So all the veterans know, and all the veterans have long-range weapons built and are using them in their arsenal, or using them a lot. But it's clear the most upgraded grade 10, y'all know ranged is amazing. And if the longsword can stay here too, because it's a literal lightsaber and it looks really cool. Moving on to the next category, we have the top 5 most challenging monsters ranks. Starting with rank 5, Deviljho. At rank 4, we have Black Diablos. At rank 3, we have Zinogre. At rank 2, we have Diablos. And at rank 1, we have the Elder Dragon, the most powerful enchilada in the game, the Kushala Daora. So how did this order come about? Well, here's the analysis for the top 5 most challenging monsters. This data must be based on how many times hunters have failed / died in hunts to the specific monsters. If you're going to measure the metric of people failing or dying, look no further. All 5 of these have probably wiped you. It's wiped me at plenty of points in my entire career as a Monster Hunter Now player. Kushala at rank 1 of the list is a big and not so big surprise at the same time. It's the hardest Elder Dragon, and the sheer number of Bone Gunlance users that have wiped to it probably rose it to the top. Someone has to blame for all the wipes. Well, we've seen a lot of the topics. You've seen a lot of them cry as to why we don't accept them. Well, it's because you die a lot. And thank you for rising Kushala Daora to the top. You're probably not the main reason, but like, yeah. Bone Gunlance users are probably one of the big reasons why somehow Kushala Daora being out since June jumped all the way up to number 1. Diablos is crazy at rank 2. That shows that it is the hardest preseason / story monster in the game. Still remember, it got the first event when Monster Hunter Now officially released in September. You had Diablos, and the surprise was Black Diablos. Speaking of Black Diablos, she's pissed off and she's in heat, and she is the only subspecies on this list. But to be fair, it was also the first subspecies in Monster Hunter Now, taking the title as the hardest subspecies monster in the game. No, seriously, if you're trying to get the grade 10 Black Diablos bow, she's probably killed you a lot like me, and the many other veteran hunters that have tried to take her out and get that, even get the gold Black Diablos medal, which I have as well. And she definitely took my soul and a lot of my healing items. Speaking of taking your souls, Zinogre and Deviljho aren't surprising at rank 3 and 5, as they are the featured boss monsters of the major updates. But wait, there's more. They also added the top 5 layered equipment ranks. I know this isn't something super major, but you know what? It's kind of worth looking into just for the heck of it. At rank 5, you have the School B layered chests. At rank 4, you have the Cat A layered waist. At rank 3, you have the Hoodie A layered legs. At rank 2, you have the layered waist. And at rank 1, you have the almighty Cat A layered head ears. An automatic goat if you use said layered armor, and you have the cute ears sticking out. And this brings us to the analysis for the top 5 layered equipment. It's pretty obvious the schoolgirl look is goated. While layered armor has no specific benefit, a lot of these pieces were from Season 1 Pass, so it shows how popular they were. And I know Japan, y'all are likely the driver of these fashion choices. Now that's not a bad thing, I wanted layered armor too, but man, them cat ears are insanely popular. A lot of these pieces came out months ago and are still being used. A lot of layered armor has come out since then, so it just shows you just how dominant these pieces are. And again, it was in Season 1, so Season 1 layered equipment is taking over all your other options for these top rankings, which is pretty insane.
You said tech has its limits. Wrong. There are no limits when you're as brilliant as Seto Kaiba. I have never settled for mediocrity as an acceptable standard, and neither should you.
And I too follow the teachings and wisdom of Seto Kaiba. Mediocrity should never be accepted. Fun fact, my first grade 10 and grade 10.5 max weapon was actually the Black Diablos bow. Way back in the day when Monster Hunter Now first came out and Black Diablos, when I first saw the stats, I knew that weapon was going to be meta for a very long time. And to no surprise to this day, it is still the most powerful raw weapon in the entire game. So I was right. In addition, I have 2 out of the 5 weapons on the top grade 10 list maxed out. The Black Diablos bow and Zinogre Light Bowgun. And what's really cool about that data is that this data also shows the budget bow, which is the Puke bow, is still really great for endgame use and is still a good idea for new/beginners players. So if you're brand new and you're looking for a weapon to use, well, the Puke bow has shown that veteran players and most players have it built. Overall, this data is really cool to see, and I'm looking forward to more data releases like this in the future. I'm hoping that we get more statistics like weapon usage, etc. But this goes to show, if y'all want to have an incredibly powerful weapon, build the Black Diablos bow. That's all you need. Please do me a huge favor. Like, subscribe, and comment for the YouTube algorithm, just like this picture right here. Let's look forward to another year of Monster Hunter Now. And speaking of Black Diablos, look at that beautiful Black Diablos bow in the back. And if we went outside to slay that Rathalos that's spying us right here, I would love to, because no one touches my food. And speaking of food, cooking just came out, so hopefully you're having some great times in Season 3 for Monster Hunter Now. Good luck on your grinds, and I'll see y'all on the next video.